Thank you all so much for joining us for our Durham County Board of Commissioners regular session this Monday night, October 28th. I'll get us started with a public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. Commissioner Jacobs, would you like to read the land acknowledgement?
As we convene for the Durham County Commissioners meeting, it's crucial to recognize the painful truth of history. We stand on the stolen ancestral lands of the Catawba, Eno, Occaneechi, Shakori, and Tuscarora peoples, whose deep connection to this land predates our arrival. We acknowledge with humility the unjust displacement and violence that occurred, leading to the dispossession of indigenous peoples from their homelands. Their resilience in the face of this adversity is a testament to their strength and spirit. May we humbly honor the ancestors and elders of these nations, both past and present, by committing ourselves to fostering understanding, healing, and justice for all who inhabit this land. Let us look forward together with open hearts, acknowledging the past and embracing a future guided by compassion, respect, and unity. And what a good message for this current election taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. That I will ask Commissioner Carter to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Commissioner Carter. Are there any adjustments to the agenda anyone would like to make? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move us to the announcements. Clerk Wallace.
Good evening, Commissioners, staff, and public. I will read the announcements that are published in tonight's agenda. Looking to avoid long lines on Election Day, Durham County's Board of Elections invites you to cast your ballot during early voting for the 2024 statewide general election, which continues at 12 locations throughout Durham County through Saturday, November 2nd. Registered voters may vote at any of the 12 locations. For more information, including addresses of polling places, hours of operation, vote wait times, and more, you can visit dconc.gov. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Durham County Sheriff Clarence Burkhead and the Sheriff's Office personnel and ABC 11 together will host a trunk or treat event on Halloween night. The event will be from 5 till 7 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st at Northgate Mall in the parking lot near Sears. Kids can come out and see Sheriff's Office vehicles such as motorcycles, cars, bomb robots, rescue boats, fire trucks, and ambulances. There will also be a collection of hygiene and comfort items to be distributed to the first responders helping Hurricane Helene recovery efforts in Western North Carolina. The Durham County Department of Tax Administration will be conducting a community outreach 2025 reappraisal awareness session for residents to learn more about the reappraisal process and ask questions to staff on Monday, November 18th from 5:30 to 6:45 p.m. at Main Library, located at 300 North Roxborough Street. Reappraisal is the process of taking a market value snapshot of all real property in the county as of January 1st of the reappraisal year. Real property includes all vacant and improved land, whether residential, commercial, agricultural, or industrial. For more information, you can visit dconc.gov/tax, or you can call 919-560-0300. Looking for a fun and rewarding volunteer opportunity around sports? The Durham Sports Commission invites you to apply to volunteer at the Champion Durham Classic High School Basketball Tournament on November 21st through 27th, or the NAIA Football Championship on Saturday, December 21st. The goal of the DSC volunteer program is to empower passionate individuals to contribute their time and skills in support of enhancing the culture of sports in Durham. For additional information and to apply, you can visit durhamncsports.com. The Durham County Department of Public Health has a limited number of updated Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines for all people ages 6 months and older. You can make an appointment by calling 919-560-7608. Walk-ins are also accepted at 414 East Main Street. Vaccinations are covered by most private insurances, Medicare and Medicaid, and is also available at no cost for people who do not have insurance. You can visit dcopublichealth.org/COVID vaccines for more information. And lastly, most Durham County offices will be closed on Monday, November 11th, in observance of the Veterans Day holiday. Our offices will reopen with normal business hours on Tuesday, November 12th. For additional information on impacts on certain services, you can visit dconc.gov. And that concludes the announcements in tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Clerk Wallace. I want to add to you the announcement about voting to remember to bring a valid photo ID with you when you vote. And you can even, if you don't have a valid photo ID or don't know what constitutes as a valid photo ID, the Board of Elections is providing free photo IDs. I actually need to go get one tomorrow because I lost my license and need to still vote. But you can go to the Durham County Board of Elections office to get that made anytime during regular business hours. Are there any other announcements? Commissioner Jacobs?
Chairwoman, I wanted to piggyback on your message that when you go to get a voter ID, which you can get anytime during early voting, which lasts until Saturday, you just need to bring something that represents your face. So anything that does have your picture on it right now, any form of ID that has your picture, and then your place. So anything that has your address on it, a bill, a payment stub for your job, just any proof of where you live, and even you can vote also with a driver's license that may have a different address than when you currently have now. So just want to clarify that there's still plenty of time to vote at early voting, to even register and vote now up until Saturday. And I just want to ask our acting manager if we could really try to push out this week information every day about where people vote, how to get IDs, and also about Durham Drives. There is a free service called Durham Drives. The phone number is 919-525-1645, and it's being staffed by volunteer residents all over Durham who are giving their neighbors rides to the polls. So we want to make sure that everyone can vote and that there should be no barrier for anyone to vote. So if we could also push out the information about Durham Drives as well.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
Thank you so much. And I have one other announcement, which is that our new opioid settlement manager, Jason Smith, has created an application process for the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee, and that he is encouraging people in the community to apply. The deadline for this committee to apply is this coming Friday, November 1st. So I'm going to share it with Deborah and Monica, and also ask that we get this out right away because there's such a short turnaround. But he is looking for people who may have backgrounds in healthcare, social services, education and employment, people who are involved with the provision of mental health care or substance use care, law enforcement, community groups, people with lived experience, and people who can really represent the diversity of our community. There's going to be different categories for all of those different types of people, and this advisory group will help with giving input around decision making around and recommendations for the use of the opioid settlement funds that Durham County is receiving. So just wanted to make sure we get that out to everyone. Thank you.
Vice Chair Burns?
Yeah, mine is really quick. Start with the funny, end with the sad. Sheriff Burkhead, I don't know if you heard Commissioner Lom, she don't have a license. Today is your birthday. In the event you ever wanted to pick her up, today is the day. Everybody. So we'll start there. I thought Commissioner Jacobs was going, she looking at me. No, Sheriff Burkhead's birthday. I'm saying like, Merry Christmas. She ain't got no license. Today is the day. But no, I thought you kind of hit on two that I want to lift up. I won't say the names, but much along the same lines of Commissioner Jacobs' announcement about being able to get to the polls. Many of our favorite, and I'm trying to figure out the way to say it, because, you know, you can't say Walmart and Target, you say big box retailer. You can't say Mattel and Tyco, you have to say major toy distributor. So I'm just going to say ride-sharing applications will also be offering rides throughout Durham. So whatever your favorite ride-share application is, whilst we do have Drive Durham, there are these other options that individuals can use, not only to get to the polls, but also get to your next destination. So this is not one of those one-way trips. Folks are like, well, are they gonna wait around for me? I've spoken to a lot of these national voter projects of the national ride-share applications that we use. They will be getting you to the polls and also getting you back to your original location. Excuse me because I forget the name now. I know Derek Bowens is going to kill me. But I did also want to point out, as we're talking about voting, the lines have been extremely long. I know, look, I see somebody shaking their head. Thank you for exercising your right, ma'am. Thank you. You hung in there. You hung in there. But I think Friday, whereas like this time, last time on a Friday, we would have had 70-some thousand individuals to vote. The number is something like 87 or 89,000. So we're like tracking 10,000 people ahead. That was as of last Friday. I don't know the numbers for Saturday and Sunday, so I do apologize. But the cool thing about Durham County is that we have an app for that. So, you know, we're tracking how long some of the lines are. Of course, this is easier during early voting, so please access all the applications that our wonderful Kiara, it's not you, you're wonderful also. Our wonderful elections director, Derek Bowens, has developed. And if you all have not Googled him, he has been on CNN about all of the precautions he's taken, the security measures he's put in place, and these innovative applications that we've put in place to make sure that it is easier for individuals to vote. And I will go, and this is why I say we was on the same page. She brought up the one about opioids, but even though this is the county, the city every now and then likes to think that they can do things better than we do. So they currently have a request for proposals open about addiction prevention programming. That proposal does close on November the 1st. So in the event, as we continue to do our opioids work, that work, it cannot be done in a silo. So we do appreciate our partners at the city, but there's an application open up there also along with our advisory board. So if this is some work that you're really passionate about, or if you know folks, I see some folks saying for public health, by all means reach out to them. And if I could respectfully request from my colleagues a quick moment of silence. I sit up here a lot of times and I talk about how we lose so many children and how we lose so many men. I won't say the individual's name, though it was put in the paper. There was one woman that we often saw on Fayetteville Street, just trying to make it and do the best that she could with what she had. And it was a tough call for me to get last week, as well as for some of the people in this room, because there were many of us who went out of our way to try to save this individual. And sadly, she succumbed to gunshot wounds last week. This woman was shot in the back multiple times on our streets. And this is somebody who struggled with addiction, who struggled with mental health issues, and we couldn't save this person. And now this person is gone. And I think a lot of times when women are killed, we do not take the time. It doesn't make the news. We know the Sandra Blands, but locally, we don't know the names of women who were taken. So if I could, for the folks in public health that I knew did everything that they could, I would respectfully request, Madam Chair, a moment of silence so that we could mourn this woman the same way we do men and children in this community. Thank you. Thank you all so much. If you see something, say something, and if you can help somebody, by all means do so. We don't open up these grant opportunities in a silo. We are trying to save lives. We can't do it by ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. I will now ask also the board to approve a excused absence for Commissioner Howerton. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Carter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Commissioner Howerton is excused. Now that brings us to our minutes. The board is requested to approve our October 7th work session minutes and our October 14th regular session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Chair Burns. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved unanimously. That brings us to our ceremonial items, with the first one recognizing Director of Durham County General Services, Mo, for the Minority Enterprise Development Week Award.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Crystal Thomas, and I am the Deputy Director for County General Services. October 14th through 17th of 2024 was proclaimed as Minority Enterprise Development Week in Durham County. On October 17th, 2024, Motrio Kiambi Ro Ero, Director of General Services, was recognized by the MedWeek Committee. In Motrio's absence for a well-deserved vacation, I accepted the plaque on her behalf. Today, I would like to formally present Motrio this plaque in celebration of service with excellence. The plaque reads, MedWeek Award, Solidifying Your Next, presented to Motrio Kiambi Ro Ero, Director of General Services, in celebration of service with excellence. Your commitment to making Durham a better place to live, work, play, and thrive is commended. This was initially presented to her for the 17th of October, 2024, Durham MedWeek celebration. We celebrate you and we thank you.
Thank you very much, but this plaque belongs to my team. What we do with regards to minority contractors is a team effort. I'm just the leader of the team, that's it. But thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations, Mo, for this well-deserved recognition and award. And in your true Mo fashion, always humble. But we know that a great team takes a great leader, so we really appreciate and value all the service that you've brought to Durham County. Any Vice Chair Burns?
Mine is really quick. I'm appreciative of you being humble, but I'm a child of rap culture, so I need you to take all the credit where all the credit is due, like most rappers would, or people in my generation that tend to be very selfish, but I can appreciate you being humble. I just want to say that when we got here, this was something that our board really cared about. Once we kind of sort of brought the data forward, and while there are many people who have taken this mantle on, we recognize that within our contracting practices, both in the past, better so in the present, both from a state, national, local, the school board, city, everybody could be doing it better. The fact that we got the data, we set a goal, and we see people trying to reach it, we do not give these awards out in a vacuum. It is really seriously because we care about making sure that the people that are building Durham look like the people in Durham. This weekend, Commissioner Alam and I were at Glenn Elementary School for they're doing some renovations. They're adding 2 stories. And one of the really great things, there are parents of students at Glenn Elementary that are part of that construction bill. So we're also trying to build an economic development ecosystem where everybody can thrive. And I honestly think when we keep people in the community who are reflective of the community, building these projects, we get better outcomes. So this is better for the bottom line, it is better for the community, and I'm hoping that everybody else can look at this as a beacon and strive to do the same thing, because we're gonna keep giving this award out, so somebody else, you know, look forward to get it next year. And if Mo, you at the top next year, I won't be here, give it to Mo again, and then that'll give y'all something else to chase. But thank you so much for this, what I like to call heart work, because that's what it really takes to make sure that women and minorities have an equitable opportunity, and our veterans have an equitable opportunity in a stake and in this community. So I applaud you and salute.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. With that, I'll bring us to our proclamation for Community Health Coalition Day with Commissioner Jacobs will be reading.
Community Health Coalition 2024. Whereas since 1989, Community Health Coalition has been improving the health of Durham and North Carolina communities, and whereas the mission of Community Health Coalition is to achieve health equity and eliminate racial health disparities in Durham County and the surrounding areas. And whereas Community Health Coalition has connected passionate leaders in the fields of medicine, education, mental health, faith, law, finance, military, and social advocacy to achieve one united goal: to create a society in which all people live long, healthy, active lives full of purpose and promise. And whereas Community Health Coalition has worked diligently to close the gap in health access, mortality, and health outcomes between African Americans, disadvantaged and underserved populations through health education, promotion, advocacy, and referrals. And whereas the acquisition of Community Health Coalition's state-of-the-art mobile health unit and refrigerated truck to propel their work toward a healthy and whole Durham, and whereas Community Health Coalition's strong commitment to achieving health equity for everyone beyond today's racial and socioeconomic barriers has made them a trusted voice and pillar in Durham County. Now, therefore, I, Nida Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 10th, 2024 as Community Health Coalition Day in Durham County and commend its observance to all citizens this 28th day of October 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Just have to come to this podium. Please press the button on the mic.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman and the Board of Commissioners. I just want to say thank you on behalf of Community Health Coalition and our Board of Directors for what you guys have done for us on behalf of Durham County and its community members. And we thank you guys, and we cannot thank you enough for all that you have done and for putting your trust in us. And we will continue to carry this torch along So thank you so much, and we do have some gifts for you guys as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Vice Chair Burns noticed the gifts immediately, and she was whispering to me, "There's treats."
I was notifying her in the event there was anything in there worth more than $20 and
Commissioner
1 cent.
Jacobs?
Yes, and I just also wanted our speaker just to identify herself for everyone. Are you Eva Colley Green Bazemore? Okay, just wanted to make sure that you were recognized. And I just wanted to say congratulations as well, because I understand this is going to be your 35th anniversary. There's going to be a community festival. If you could just speak to that for a minute so the whole community could hear about that, and then we'll get our gifts.
I apologize. So on Sunday, November the 10th, at the Durham Memorial Stadium, we will be hosting our 35th anniversary community festival at the Durham Memorial Stadium off of Duke Street. And it's going to be held from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. We will do our ribbon cutting starting at 2 p.m., followed by a community festival. We will have free food for the community. We will have produce bags to give away as well. There will be activities for the children and for the whole family. We will have live entertainment. So we just ask for the entire community to come out and celebrate with us. And we will also offer vaccinations as well that day for anyone who needs flu and COVID vaccinations also.
Wow, that is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I was so excited to read that you have acquired a mobile health unit
Yes.
and a refrigerated truck. If you could tell us about that, that sounds amazing.
Yes, ma'am. So our mobile health unit, we actually just got it into the parking lot today. We got it back from the security department where we had to get it footed out for security purposes, but it will be put on the road and we will go wherever we're needed. Right now we have been going into neighborhoods in our vehicles and setting up pop-up tents basically and offering just health services for those who are underserved per se and who do not have health insurance, and offering glucose screenings and hypertension screenings, and offering health resources for those who do not have health insurance. But with that mobile unit, we do have nurses and we do have doctors on board who can now do extensive screenings and provide that health care that persons might need, and we can provide the resources that they need going forward if things are not something that we can handle on the bus. We can refer them out. So we do have a team of people, and we're also partnering with Lincoln Health Community Center to provide their services for those. The refrigerated truck we acquired because we were renting U-Hauls weekly to pick up our food services, and so we acquired the refrigerated truck to alleviate those costs, and it allows us now to pick up on our own, and we can branch out and go out more and serve the community more with what we're doing as far as our food bank is concerned. And we just kicked off our homeless bag program on yesterday, as a matter of fact, where we started distributing our homeless bags to the homeless in the community as well. So we're trying to make a huge stamp in the Durham community and broaden it out outside of Durham. So we're doing what we say, and we want to make sure that everybody knows who we are.
Well, thank you. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
For the decades of service to our community and being such an important partner for Durham County Public Health and for Lincoln Community Health Center. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eva. And yeah, the work seems absolutely amazing. I'd also be interested if there's been a partnership with the Hearts program over at the city, because they do regular community canvassing and engaging with our community members who are unhoused and finding out what services and support they need, that maybe there's a potential possibility for a partnership, since they're already going out and canvassing, to bring y'all along with them to provide services on the spot, that we can connect you to Ryan Smith from that
Definitely.
department.
I would definitely love that, yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next proclamation that we have is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month that Vice Chair Burns will read.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, 2024. Whereas the safety, security, physical, and emotional well-being of our neighbors affects the lives of everyone in our community, we recognize that domestic violence takes a variety of forms and believe all individuals have the right to live their best and fullest lives free of violence and fear. And whereas we recognize that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men report experiencing physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetimes, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, domestic violence is a serious preventable public health concern involving the manipulation of power and control, including willful intimidation, physical and sexual assault, emotional and financial abuse, and other abusive behaviors. And whereas anyone can be a victim of intimate partner violence regardless of gender, age, race, socioeconomic status, ability, or relationship choice, we believe that everyone deserves a life free of violence regardless of gender identification, ethnicity, ability, age, religion, or social status. And whereas we recognize that the crime of domestic violence impacts victims, families, and society and can lead to long-term health problems, missed days of work and loss of employment, psychological distress, family instability, and homelessness, and increased risk for future violence. And whereas ending domestic violence starts with awareness and education, changing social norms about gender and violence, and mobilizing our communities, including men, boys, our faith institutions, the public and private sectors. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Netta Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do here proclaim the month of October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Durham County. We urge all who engage with youth to teach and model respect, consent, and healthy relationships. We encourage government, health professionals, law enforcement, and communities and civic organizations to ensure our inclusive environment that supports survivors of domestic violence and sustains their efforts to rebuild their lives without violence in Durham. We are strongly committed to working with all partners so that every individual across this county can access appropriate and affirming resources to address and end the violence in our communities. This, the 28th day of October 2024.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. And we have the Executive Director from Durham Crisis Response Center joining us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for that proclamation. My name is Shayna Carrigan, and I am the new Executive Director at the Durham Crisis Response Center. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. While I may be new in this role, my time in Durham has shown me how vital DCRC's work is in our community. And I know many of you have supported and advocated for DCRC, and it means so much to us. As many of you know, DCRC is Durham's leading nonprofit addressing domestic violence and sexual assault, also known as DVSA. Beyond assisting individuals dealing with intimate partner violence and sexual assault, we also support people impacted by family violence, financial and emotional abuse, human trafficking, and stalking. Our dedicated team operates a 24-hour crisis helpline, an emergency shelter, hospital and court accompaniment, legal document assistance, case management, and counseling. This year, we're thrilled to offer an educational workshop to our local judges and courthouse staff to better serve women, men, trans, and non-binary people seeking legal support for DVSA. In Durham, DV and SA remain critical issues impacting our community. Statewide, 35% of women and 30% of men experience domestic violence in their lifetimes, which includes various forms of abuse: physical, emotional, psychological, financial, and sexual. We also know that these numbers are vastly underreported. Durham has also seen a rise in gun violence, which is no stranger to domestic violence and sexual assault. We can do better. Unfortunately, public funding for DVSA services has continued to decline. In North Carolina, the Governor's Crime Commission has been hit with significant cuts to the Victim of Crime Act funding, or VOCA. This year's allocation is down from $24.6 million, a 42% drop from last year's $42 million. And we know it is decreasing further next year. Organizations like DCRC are now at a critical crossroads, and we're deeply concerned about the future of our life-saving grant funding programs. We can do better. As we come together to honor Domestic Violence Awareness Month, let us not only remember those who have lost their lives to this cause, but those who have dedicated their life's work to it. We owe it to the victims, the survivors, and the advocates to continue the fight. We can do better, and together we will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shayna. And congratulations on this new role. We look forward to partnering with you and working with you. DCRC has been an amazing resource for the county. Do I have any? Vice Chair Burns?
Mine is really quick. I also wanted to add on my congratulations. It'll be a heavy lift because it's not a fun job. You know, when people come to you, they're coming for help. And so any way that we can be supportive, by all means, please come back, especially when we open up our grant cycles. I won't be here, so I'm putting it on them. So when since you did make the ask, I want to make sure people heard it. I did want to, because you know, we sit here, we talk about it. I want to at least throw the phone number out. Correct me if I'm wrong. So in order to get in contact with you all, have 919-403-9425. Again, that's 919-403-9425. And I also wanted to throw this out. Back in my good old DOJ days, one of the first reports that I was tasked with putting together was a domestic violence homicide report. It's an annual report that the Department of Justice puts out along with the SBI. And in my own ignorance, like so many other people, you know, people often say, you know, when do you think domestic violence homicides go up? When do you think domestic violence goes up? People often said it is the summer because, oh, people are out partying and it's warmer. It is actually not the summer at all. It is during holiday months. We are entering into Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Thanksgiving, New Year's, and Valentine's Day. So if there was ever a peak season for domestic violence, we are at the precipice. So I will echo what I said at the beginning of this meeting. If you see something, say something. And it doesn't mean jumping in, but it's calling someone like this. It's calling someone in law enforcement. So much more I want to say. I personally feel like there are four stools to justice in any community. It's us, it's the law enforcement officers, it is our judicial system, and then there's the DA's office. Many of you all know that we've seen women in this community beaten to death over these past few years, and individuals have served absolutely no time or little to any time. The average rapist in North Carolina only goes to jail for about 7 years. Again, we have got to see somebody has got to get out of office in Durham so that we can start to see some things be done for women and men in this community that are consistently abused. I did want to also thank, I threw this one out there, this proclamation. Thank you so much to our current acting manager, interim manager, Claudia Hager, for putting this together and at least inviting our guests. And the last thing I wanted to say, it escapes me now. You said that there are some trainings that you all offer to the judicial system and to folks who are in the courts. If there are any additional trainings that you all ask, please at least share those with us so that we can amplify those in our social media. And our manager, who has been so gracious over the past couple of weeks to allow other people to write in it. I've seen what some of you all have wrote. Love seeing it, but so that we can share it in our newsletter and our community can see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. Commissioner Jacobs?
Well, I'm excited. I just want to congratulate Shayna and her new role. I first met her in her work with Families Moving Forward. So it's wonderful also to see people like you move into other leadership roles and stay within our community. And this is a very important role. I know that we've been lacking for a while for a very important service in our community. And Shane and I were talking before just about the role that the Family Justice Center is playing along with Durham Crisis Response Center, and how it would be good in the upcoming, not too distant future, on bringing everyone together to just see, you know, what's happening and what kind of things that you all are hoping to do and where you need support and all of that. So we actually haven't done a big check-in on the Family Justice Center and also Durham Crisis Response Center in quite a while. And to Vice Chair Burns' point, a very high percentage of our violent crime in Durham is related to intimate partner violence and family violence. So thank you so much.
Commissioner Carter?
And I just also wanted to add my thanks to Shayna. I was really excited to see that you're now the executive director of this nonprofit, and have followed your work with respect and admiration. And I wanted to thank you also. I know that you're either attending regularly or perhaps have been assigned to the Homeless Services Advisory Committee. Clearly, folks that are dealing with domestic violence need a safe place to live, often have to flee their homes. So that's really important work, another really important aspect of your work. So thank you for that. Thank you for all that you're doing. It's grim work. You do it well. Thank you so much.
I need to correct myself. It's not Families Moving Forward. Was it Families Moving Forward? Okay, that was the last word. It's all connected.
All amazing nonprofits,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Some of our best.
Yes, yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Shayna. We look forward to working with you and supporting your work in different ways. That now brings us to our final resolution, the resolution for Operation Greenlight and Veterans Day 2024 that Commissioner Carter will be reading.
Right, as I speak into my mic with the green light, right? Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Operation Greenlight for Veterans and Veterans Day 2024. Whereas the residents of Durham County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Durham County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran services officers, like our own wonderful service officers, in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually. And whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers encourage all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for Veterans. And whereas the Durham County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Now, therefore, be it resolved, with designation as a Green Light for Veterans County, the Durham Board of County Commissioners hereby declares November 2024 as a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved, the Durham Board of County Commissioners also declares November 11th, 2024 as Veterans Day in Durham County, a day to recognize the patriots across our nation and the county's approximately 15,000 veterans. Finally, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight and Veterans Day, the Durham Board of County Commissioners encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence throughout November. This, the 28th day of October, 2024.
Director Raven, you is here.
Good evening again. I'm Lois Harvin Raven, Director for Durham County Department of Veteran Services, Chair Alum, and Commissioners. We want to thank you on behalf of all of the veterans here in Durham County and across the nation for the support that you're giving us and the dedication and you all supporting these resolutions. And you all have never failed not to support us. You all make our job so much easier because we do get the support from the community and from our commissioners, and to include all of our other platform leadership from all departments, directors, ACM. I'm under the portfolio of Assistant County Manager Tammy Hall. I am going to yield my time to I call them my troops. This is Company B back here. This is part of our succession plan, so I've taken a step back, and I'd like for them to share some remarks as well. So again, thank you all. We're looking forward to all of you coming out to join us on Veterans Day, so thank you.
I, too, just want to echo my sentiments and say thank you. We are so fortunate here in Durham County, both myself as a veteran, but also as an employee and citizen of Durham. I am so appreciative of the tremendous support that we've gotten over the years from the commissioners, the county manager's office, our ACMs, and you all have shown your commitment and dedication to our veterans by giving us. I tell someone we've moved out of the apartments over at the Human Service Building. We got our own flat now over there at 201 North Roxbury Street, where our veterans can park out front and walk straight into our facility, and we can serve them. And that was a tremendous vote of confidence for us to allow us that space to serve our veterans, but also to grow, to be able to serve the community, our veterans and their families. So I'm going to yield the time I have to this tremendous VSO team we have here with Jonathan, Haleen, and Kwame Hester, who is our newest VSO. Just want them to come and share in their own ways their gratitude. And I'm sure they're going to give you a little bit more information about Operation Greenlight and our plans for Veterans Day. We have a tremendous speaker. I'm going to let them share that information.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Crooms, Veteran Service Officer and Outreach Coordinator for our office. I personally am grateful that Veterans Day falls in our calendar at a time of year when we tend to celebrate most of our national and religious holidays. And there's something about this time of year that really inspires reflection about what matters most, family, friends, and time together with them. And so it only seems natural that as we reflect on those things that are important to our lives, that we also remember our veterans who make the peace that we enjoy, the freedoms that we enjoy possible. So we invite you all to be part of this. We have two great initiatives this month in November. We have Operation Greenlight, where we are asking the public to pick up a green light bulb. In fact, we have some out in the lobby right now in gift bags for you. And shine your green light, particularly during the week of November 4th to the 11th, but throughout the whole month. And it is to remind all of us that we have a responsibility to take care of our veterans and their families. My colleague Halen's going to tell a little bit more about how you can be part of that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Halen. I actually have the flyer here with me today. It's Operation Greenlight. Shine your light, show support, and share your resource. Don't forget to do your hashtag Operation Greenlight and hashtag Durham Glows Green. And like Jonathan said, we do have some light bulbs with us today to provide it for you right outside the doors. And just make sure you take your selfie, and share it with us. Thank you.
And then, of course, we have our wonderful annual Veteran Celebration, which is going to take place on Friday, November 8th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our keynote speaker is our own Commissioner Burns. We especially invite all of you all to come. One of my favorite parts of that event is the Walk of Honor, in which the veterans will come up and have the opportunity to be greeted by you and shake your hand. And I know that means a lot to them to be able to have that interaction with you as the leaders of our community. We will have also a wonderful meal from our friends at Bullock's, and it, as always, plans to be a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have any remarks prepared, so please excuse me, but as a veteran, I want to say that I appreciate the support of the community and the leadership, and I just forgot what she said. Hold on one second. A reminder that County Manager Hager is going to do the opening remarks. My name is Kwame Hester. I am a new VSO on the team, so I look forward to working with everyone and seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your service to Durham County, and thank you, Director Raven, for your leadership, for this amazing, small but mighty team. And we're so happy that you guys also now have moved into your new offices, or are in the process of moving into the new offices in the process. But we're glad you guys also have will have a space to grow and cultivate the services you provide in a place that is designated for our veterans to be able to come. And thank you so much for the efforts you've put into organizing all of the Veterans Day events. It's always a somber occasion, or to be able to be there and support and celebrate our veterans, but also remembering the sacrifices that they've put forward, serving in this country and making sure that we continue to serve them as they enjoy their life in Durham. Is there any other, Vice Chair Burns?
Mine is really, really quick. So one, I'm excited that we have them out there, but I know the bags and the light bulbs. I did want to know, usually I know that there's a time where we'll tell people that they can come get them. So before the week of, we're going to amplify that so that folks can know that they can come pick up green lights. And again, first come, first serve, y'all, because I think we ran out last year. But we will be sharing that after the meeting. Okay, so I'm seeing some affirmative nods. Also, Kwame, to you, sir, welcome aboard. Every time, you know, this team continues to grow, and it makes me feel good because y'all make sure my stats are right. We have about, 15,000 veterans here, and we can only serve 5,000. Every time we add somebody to this team, I feel like we're gonna that's another touch point. We get to help a few more people. So I'm super excited about that. I know we added a car, we've added more folks. And so, and I echo the sentiments of Chair Alam that you all now have this wonderful new space to go into, and you can walk right in. Somebody doesn't necessarily walking through security upstairs just to get access to the benefits, because it can be cumbersome. Anybody who's ever been to the VA, that paperwork can be complex and difficult, and people will say, I just don't want to do it, and these are the helping hands. So I thank you, I salute you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again. That brings us to the end of our ceremonial items and brings us to our consent agenda. Are there any items that commissioners would like to pull? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Madam Chair.
Everyone.
I second.
It's moved by everyone, seconded by everyone. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are approved the consent agenda unanimously.
Can you do that?
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Vice Chair Burns. That now brings us to our public hearings. The first one being, just one. The public hearing zoning map change for 3107 and 3311 East Gear Street. And we have Sarah Long. No, we don't have Sarah Long.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair Alam. Members of the Commission, Aaron Kane with the Planning Department. I'll be presenting this case before you. Before I begin, I certify that this case has been advertised in accordance with state and local laws and affidavits, and those affidavits are available in the Planning Department. This case is Z2300057, 3107 and 3111 East Gear Street. Next slide. This case is just under 9 acres at the locations of the title 3107 and 3111 East Gear Street. The request is to change the zoning from residential rural and residential suburban 10, oh thank you, didn't see that there, to industrial light. The current place type map is general industrial, and so staff, that is consistent with the requested zoning change, and so staff is not recommending a change to the place type map designation. The proposal does the applicant does state that they will be doing this for commercial parking and vehicle service. However, that is not committed. This is a general rezoning with no development plan to go along with it. It is straight zoning to industrial light. The zoning context map you can see here, as you can see, it is primarily commercial zoning around the site already. To the north, commercial general; to the south, commercial neighborhood, though there are some residential uses and zonings also to the south of the site. As you can see on the aerial map, there's already a constructed commercial development to the north of the site. Otherwise, surrounding it is mostly undeveloped land and residential uses. You can see I-85 just to the west of the site, and there are some railroad tracks to the east of the site as well as East Gear Street. As I mentioned before, the place type designation is general industrial, and we are not suggesting that it change. The industrial light zoning district that is requested would be consistent with that place type designation. An initial neighborhood meeting was held in accordance with UDO requirements on November 1st, 2023, with 6 people in attendance. There was an additional meeting held on March 27th, 2024, with 3 people in attendance. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this case on a 10-to-1 vote at its September 10th, 2024 meeting. And as stated before, the proposal is consistent with 8 of 9 applicable comprehensive plan policies and is generally consistent with the designation, place type map designation of general industrial. Staff and the applicant are here to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Jacobs?
Thank you, Erin. Yeah, I have a few questions. One is the BPAC, Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee, they had a note about there being an easement for a trail. Could you please give some more information about that?
So
I don't think I saw anything in the staff report about that.
No, wouldn't be anything necessarily in the staff report. So there is a plan for a trail along that rail line that is adjacent to the site. But since this case does not have a development plan attached to it, that's not the kind of thing that the applicant can commit to through this process.
Okay, so that's confusing to me. Why would we not be referring to adopted plans in the staff report?
Yeah, okay. So yes, we generally do. I just meant there was not a reference to it since there's not a way for the applicant to commit to something like that in the development plan, because there isn't one.
Okay. Okay, but there also, I don't think there is a reference to that report in the staff report.
Okay.
So I just would request that in the future, that any relevant adopted plans be reflected in the staff report.
Sure.
Okay, so because there's no development plan, there isn't the ability for the applicant to commit to this.
That's
then
correct.
how are we supposed to then implement an adopted plan?
Well, if it's using the rail line, it would be through, like we're doing for other rail trail cases where local government or private entities are purchasing railroad right-of-way, and then eventually using that funding to maybe through other ways to construct a trail along that railroad right-of-way.
Okay, this doesn't seem like a good process to me. I mean, I'm very confused about this. I thought that the whole point to having adopted plans is that when we see rezonings and things like that come before us, it's an opportunity for applicants to proffer those things so that local government doesn't have to then go out and purchase them and spend public resources on them, because through the act of rezoning, we are actually giving a developer economic value for their that they didn't normally have.
So I think I have two responses to that. One, a development plan is voluntary. It is not required. We cannot require a development plan to be submitted as part of a rezoning. That is a voluntary thing that an applicant puts on. Two, the applicant does not own the railroad right-of-way. So the applicant has no ability at this time to construct, provide easement, or anything like that through this process. They don't own that land.
Right, but what, I'm trying to find the comment from BPAC actually. Maybe it was part of the staff report. Where was that?
The BPAC comments are in the staff report, yes.
Okay.
And there was also a planning commissioner who mentioned it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, Commissioner Carter, can you read exactly what they said in the BPAC comments? I can't find it right now.
They asked for an easement that would connect to the rail trail that's in our approved plan. And the planning commissioners, even the ones, most of them, the vast majority of them who voted for the rezoning, also encouraged, they encouraged city council, I guess they thought it was going to the city council, but they encouraged, the body that will be making the zoning approval to, consider requiring a buffer, and also this easement of sorts. They wanted a sufficient buffer to minimize disturbances, a landscaped or structural barrier between the commercial use and the surrounding neighborhood, and then they also wanted us to ask for the easement that would allow for connection to the trail that will eventually be built.
Right, so, which can be used hopefully in the future as a way for people to get to work.
So
things like that on a site like this.
Yes, so again, the railroad right-of-way is not owned by the applicant, so the applicant cannot commit to doing anything on the railroad right-of-way.
I'm not really mentioning railroad right-of-way, just an easement across their property.
So an easement from their property to that can be granted, and that can be granted during the site plan process.
Okay.
So the applicant could certainly volunteer to do that, but since we do not have a development plan, there's not a way for the applicant to commit to that through the zoning process.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 8 years, and I have always been confused by this. The fact that without a development plan, we can't really exert any leverage, it feels like, for these elements that we'd like to have and that our advisory bodies are recommending that we push for. When is the site plan then?
The site plan can be once, if the zoning is approved, the site plan can be submitted at any time after that. The zoning runs in perpetuity until it is changed by the governing body, so there is no required timetable for the applicant to submit a site plan.
And is that a legislative thing that says, or is that a Durham County city rule that a site plan isn't required for the application?
That's a general
practice?
Planning process. You can't force someone to put submit a site plan to do something on their property. We can't require somebody to submit a site plan at any particular time. We can require them to submit a site plan should they want to develop the property, but whether they want to do that in 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, that's up to them.
Okay. So then does it come back to the governing body?
It will not. No. Once you make a decision at the zoning stage, a site plan is an administrative process that's approved by staff.
So I know that BPAC has a development, review committee, and they spend hours poring over these developments, looking at elements that they believe should be required based on our comprehensive plan and other plans. And then usually they forward those to the city council, because it's usually the city council making the annexation decision or the zoning request change decision. And it always seems like that's an opportunity, you know, to leverage the answer, the decision, in order to get these elements that you're hoping to receive. But we don't.
It's not because it's coming to the county that there's not a development plan. There certainly could be a development plan. If it was coming to the county, the applicant has simply chosen to not submit a development plan through this process and just ask for the general zoning of industrial light.
In other words, Commissioner Carter, if we did not approve the rezoning, they could come back with a development plan. It's just there isn't one. If there was, we could ask for this to be included. And is this the same issue required to the buffer as well? Are we going to have the same problem with that?
So a buffer is already required against the residential areas. It would be a 50-foot buffer that would be required during the site plan. That's part of the Unified Development Ordinance already. And it is a 20 to 30-foot buffer required against the commercial areas. So buffers are already required in the UDO.
So why did we see Planning Commission comments concerned about that?
I was not at that Planning Commission meeting. I cannot explain why they made those comments.
Okay. What is the opacity of that buffer?
It's 0.8 against the residential, and it is 0.6, I believe 0.4/0.6 against the commercial areas.
So is it atypical for the governing body to cast a negative vote in hopes of then requiring a development plan so that there will be an ability to have some leverage?
I have not seen that happen in my 18 years working for the city and county.
Okay.
I have another follow-up question, which is, we don't get many rezonings, so it was an opportunity to look at the staff report, and I see that we're still not analyzing the impact to emergency management services, which is a county service. So I hope that we can get that data from EMS in the future. A lot of the focus is on city services, but that is a county that is a service the county provides. So hopefully in the future we can do that. And then I see the impact to the schools. I guess it's just limited to what our local per pupil allotment is, and then there was $100,000 capital impact.
So yeah, that is the information that we provide, which comes from Durham Public Schools in terms of what their operating expenditures are and what their capital expenditures are, and then our estimated now with an industrial light zoning district, we wouldn't expect people's.
Yeah, I just want to flag that because that probably also needs to be revisited, the operating costs. I know we talked about having some type of a infrastructure subcommittee that would be made up of city, county, and DPS staff that could better come up with some better ways of maybe more accurate ways of looking at impacts. Yeah.
While you're on that line of questioning, I want you to continue, but I want to jump in for just 2 seconds because you just said revisit. When I think about that area, that's right there, Glen School Road, even though they don't think it's Gear Street, that's Gear Street. It's right up there from it. It's doing a renovation. They're putting a 2-story building in front of it, and that's 1 mile this way. This is this project, exactly 1 mile, well, not even a mile, about a half a mile, there's a brand new charter school going up on that same street where the old drive-in movie theater was. So when we sit here and we look at the impact on Durham Public Schools, these requests are put in, take a couple of months, go to the Planning Commission, Hello, future county commissioner, Stephen Valentine, who sits on the planning commission. You see how we tear your things apart? You're gonna be in this seat in a couple of months. So kind of sort of be, prepared for this. It went 10-1, but this is kind of what happens here. So as we're revisiting, I would love to see what that impact's gonna look like, because I imagine that when this application was put in, I don't even think that those things were taken into account. So just, this is one I didn't think you all thought we were going to kind of tear apart too much. But as I'm seeing more of these come up, people are doing these changes in the more rural parts because they're looking to develop. There's a reason why there's a new charter school going on that intersection, whether we agree with it or not. There's also a reason why we're expanding Glen, because we need to. So there's a reason why there's never been a fitness club there or an ABC store there. Right in that Walmart shopping center, they just opened up a fitness center, and Durham County, for the first time on that side of town, has expanded ABC store. So clearly somebody sees that something is coming. So I'm not trying to, poison the well, but even I at times have to sit back and question. And to Commissioner Carter, I got the same question that you kind of sort of had. Has anybody ever pushed back? We ain't never seen the city push back on a developer, so we don't know that if we did this tonight, if it would actually help. But I'll let you continue with yours, but I would love to see what that revisit looks like as well.
And just the last thing I was going to mention, because I know there's going to be the opportunity to look at staff reports, especially with also the UDO and everything, revising the UDO. But the other thing I was wondering about is, do we look at, is there a way for us to also look at the potential economic impact of a rezoning on things like creating jobs? So, because obviously this is we're not going to have a school impact, but one of the positives may be the economic impact of creating jobs, or what other ways that our economic development staff might have some ideas of how we could evaluate that. So I'm just throwing that out there as something to think about. And I don't know if you had any response about the things that I mentioned related to EMS or the schools or.
So we have been having quite robust conversations with staff members from Durham Public Schools, especially the planning team over there, updating our capital expenditure data, our operating expenditure data, as well as the student generation numbers. So we've been in regular contact with them and are updating our staff reports as much as possible based on the data we get from them.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners? Yeah. Commissioner Carter?
Based on the layout of this 9 acres, will the lack of an easement for a trail lead to disconnection between portions of the trail that are in the plan to be built in the future, or we don't know, or?
I would doubt it. That may be a question for the applicant, but the way this is situated, if it's talking about using the future rail corridor as a trail, I don't see that this site where it's currently located the lack of an easement would necessarily prohibit the trail from moving forward should the railroad right-of-way be acquired for that purpose in the future.
Okay. It's possible that BPAC was just asking for an easement to connect to the rail trail itself.
I think that's what that's saying in the staff report, is not for the trail itself, because they don't control that, but for an access to the trail for any future development that may happen on the site. And that's something they cannot commit to through the zoning process, again, because there's no development plan, but it's certainly something they could put on during the site plan process.
In the site plan process, they would be bringing forward a plan to talk about how they're building this parking lot for lots of trucks and such. Okay. And this really is consistent with it's either irrelevant to our policies or it's consistent with all but one. The one that was related to try not to approve anything that leads to increased vehicular traffic.
Well, when it's a service site for tractor trailers, you can't really get that one.
Exactly. Okay, and it also is consistent with our place type map. I mean,
We do call for this area because of its proximity to the rail line and to I-85 for future industrial development.
and there will be the buffer, so really it's just the one issue with the easement. And it seems like you've really outlaid my major concern, which was we were going to have some sort of disconnection of one of our future rail trails or something. And it doesn't sound like that's what this
We
is.
can still ask the applicant about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before I open the public hearing, are there any other questions from the board? Okay, I will open up the public hearing. Were there any individuals signed up to speak? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak? Or at this moment, we could also hear from the applicant? If they're here, if you would like to provide any comments, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Chris Seamster with McKim & Creed in Raleigh. I'm coming into this project a little late. I had the representative from my company that has worked on the project and did the neighborhood meetings and did the planning commission. She left my company last month. So anyways, I've tried to catch up on everything with the client, Paxton Barnes, and understand what they're going for. And it seems like what you discussed, the main issue is that they applied for a general rezoning. So everything that would be allowed in the industrial light zoning category is what we're talking about, as opposed to something that most towns call it a conditional rezoning that would be more site plan specific, and then you could get into a debate about the various aspects of it. But for this project, they wanted to apply for a general rezoning for the IL zone. So to your question about the disconnect, as far as I know from talking to this client, I don't think there would be any reason they would try to not allow an easement to connect to the greenway. I think like we said too, when a site plan comes back to actually develop the site, the requirements related to buffers against the residential to the one side and other commercial lots, that would be applicable then. I think that was I think the main topic dealing with the site plan. But happy to answer any other questions that I can.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yeah, can you confirm that your client would be willing to provide an access easement for the trail? I mean, if this is going to serve the purpose that is saying what it is, which is commercial overnight and weekend parking for hauling trucks and a vehicle service shop for maintenance or tractor trailers on the site, honestly, it becomes an asset, because if there's a future trail, that means that people who are actually staying there could, conceivably walk on the trail or ride on the trail. And if there was a trail, it also becomes another way for people to get to the site other than by car. So I would like to know if that's something that you are confident that they are going to allow.
I'm confident that they would allow that in all of their power, that they can do that, because the rail line, I guess, is an easement on their property now. And so I guess you're speaking of if the rail line was purchased or acquired by the county. Is that the situation?
It could be.
Or
could be
Rails
anyone.
to Trails organization,
yeah.
Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident that he would allow that easement to connect across their property.
And that would be included in the site plan development.
Yes, it definitely would.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay. Any additional comments from you? Okay. Then with that, I will close the public hearing and I will bring it back to the board. If there's any additional discussion or questions, conversation for staff? No? Okay, with this item, there are two motions if the board wants to proceed with this item. Hearing from the applicant and the updates that he's given. Do I hear the first motion?
Entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of the residential rural and residential suburban 10 Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, Major Transportation Corridor I-85, and establishing the same as the Industrial Light Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, Major Transportation Corridor I-85.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the first motion passes. Now I'll entertain the second motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to adopt a consistency statement as required by North Carolina General Statute Section 160D/605.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, both motions have passed. Thank you so much to our applicant. Oh, there you go. For joining us tonight. And that brings us now to our second public hearing on the 2025 reappraisal schedule of values. And we have our tax administrator, Kiar, joining us.
Good evening, Commissioners, Acting County Manager, County Attorney, Kiar Doyle, Tax Administrator, Department of Tax Administration. Do we have slideshow? If not, that's fine.
They're getting it.
No problem. But we're here for the public hearing regarding the schedule of values. On October 14th, presented the schedule of values for your review. There's a copy in the tax administration office, as well as the main library and the clerk's office. Not yet. Yes. It will be online if adopted. Timeline-wise, based on October 14th date of presenting the schedule of values, if adopted, by November 12th, we would have a 30-day period of review after that adoption date. And that particular 30-day period would take us roughly to about December 11th, making it well within the time period required by the state.
You needed to bring the binder with you. That's what gets everyone excited.
It's a heavy binder.
I think they almost got it, but I would like to say a special thank you to you, Mr. Doyle. You have been doing quite a bit of outreach around the community. We've seen it. I know that the community is going to appreciate how much you and your team have been doing. I know that you've been working with our new, congratulations, I can say it publicly now because I wasn't here last week, Larissa Williamson, our county attorney. But I know that you all have been working hand in hand because there might be a series of appeals, there might not be, but I just like to say thank you in advance for the preparation. I look forward to my tax bill. So, somebody has to say it, so
Since
it
you're
sounds
so
true.
excited about it, I'll send you mine to take care of too.
Yeah, I don't think my quote is going to age well. Don't plan on tweeting it out. I'm trying, the news media is here, I'm trying to help you out, because it's just pointing at you. So if you keep smiling, they get some decent B-roll. All a part of my services here as vice chair.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
do you want to start talking through it and maybe, oh, there you go,
Whoa,
perfect.
there it is.
Mazel tov. Also, happy First Responders Day, we forgot that earlier.
All right, so as I said before, we're here to discuss the schedule of values and the role it plays within the 2025 reappraisal. North Carolina General Statute 105-286 requires that all counties conduct reappraisal at least once every 8 years. Of course, Durham County is shooting for every 4-year cycle, but the mandate is at least once every 8 years. Most recent reappraisals in Durham County were 2019, 2016, and 2008. The importance of this reappraisal needs to be very clear that the reappraisal date is January 1, 2025. All right, so anything after that would be outside of the scope in regards to what is being reviewed and analyzed for this actual reappraisal date. January 1, 2025 is the date of the reappraisal. Reappraisals, again, are required by law at least once every 8 years. Now, the goal of this process is to bring all real property to 100% market value and ultimately equalize the tax base. Specifically, the schedule of values. Schedule of values are a set of standards, values, and rules to be used in appraising real property. These schedules are to serve as the basis from now until the next reappraisal date. All right. The state mandates that the schedule of values must be reviewed and approved by the commissioners before January 1 of the reappraisal year in which they apply. I briefly mentioned that prior, that we are in line in regards to the dates as it stands to definitely be well within the review period and all of the other timelines to ensure that things have been done properly and within statutes. July 2024, or slightly before we started constructing the schedule of values, mainly the real property division and personal property division. October 14th, we presented those schedule of values to the board. And here's the outline to kind of help us in regards to what exactly we're shooting for. So that October 14th date was the date that we presented the schedule of values. October 17th is the date in which we advertised that and advertised this particular public hearing in the paper, I believe, News and Observer. October 28th, of course, today is the public hearing. November 12th, willing, be the date of adoption of those schedule values. November 13th would be the first date to advertise that the actual schedule values have been adopted. There'll be 30 days for a possible appeal or challenging of that once they are adopted. That November 13th date would be the beginning of that period. There are a few dates in between, but December 11th would be the last date of advertisement. Prior to that, there should be, following that November 13th date that I mentioned, which would be the first date of advertisement, the next would be 7 days later, November 20th, then November 27th, and November 4th would be the last advertisement date that would be required. December 11th will be the last of the appeal period. Following that time period, hopefully by the end of February, mid to the end of February, we would have those notices mailed out to the taxpayers, actually notifying them of their new value. Reappraisal value before the January 1 reappraisal date. So those notices would be out in the first quarter of the year. We would hope to have the appeal system up and online, ready for taxpayers for their use, a system that they're used to that was available to them in 2019. March 11th through the 25th, we've already coordinated time and space for informational meetings for any taxpayers that would need or would desire to sit down with staff to discuss the values that they've received. April 20th would be the advertisement for the Board of Equalization and Review. May 5th, they would convene. June 16th, they would adjourn. 2 months later, or a few months later, August, they should receive an actual tax bill. And that should be a culmination of tax value, the new reappraisal value that's been produced, along with the tax rate, together creating the tax bill. Any questions in regards to the timeline that would be a result of this particular process in regards to adopting the schedule of values?
Yes, thanks for this explanation. Who would make a decision about any appeal that you receive related to the schedule of values? If someone appealed some element of the schedule of values, who makes a decision about whether to overturn that element?
That appeal would need to go to the Property Tax Commission. It needs to be in writing within 30 days.
Okay. So that's a state board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is really quick. We talked about this, I think, in work session, but since we're in regular session, folks are viewing the process. I would love for you, if you could, just talk about what the process will be like as you do these in-face meetings. They'll be at public libraries, they'll be open, there'll be a table set aside or a room set aside so folks can come in and ask questions. Is that what we foresee throughout this process?
Yes, historically and traditionally, we set up these spaces in the libraries across the county. We try to use all of them just so that we can touch every part of the county. But during that time, taxpayers have the opportunity to sit down with staff and discuss their property listing and as well as the value, if there's any question in regards to what it is that they've received. It's a educational meeting. It's not an actual appeal session, right? The time for formal appeals, they do have that right. Everybody has a right to appeal the value, but these are informational meetings. Sometimes they do lead to maybe being helped towards getting started with an appeal, but it's not an actual appeal session.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Jacobs? Okay, wonderful. If there's no more questions from the board, I will now open the public hearing for this. No, we don't need to open? Oh, okay, we don't have anyone signed up. Okay, public hearing is open. No one has signed up. Is there any individual here who would like to speak? Okay. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. And we don't have to vote on anything. We just hold the public hearing today, correct? Yep, so we just close it. Perfect.
If you'd like to go ahead and approve.
Well, thank you, Kiara.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us now to our board and commission appointments. Attorney Williamson, are you ready?
Oh, there we go. All right. Yes, I am ready. Good evening, commissioners, Acting County Manager Hager. We have a number of appointments here. The first one we have with the Alliance Board of Directors, we have one at-large position, and you have appointed Alexandria Gwynn for that position. For Discover Durham Tourism Development Authority, we have one full-service lodging position, and you have appointed Carlos Rubio for that position. For the Durham County Women's Commission, we have one at-large position, and you have appointed Montrell Caldwell. For the Durham Racial Equity Commission, we have two at-large positions, and you have, bear with me, you have appointed Brahmahathi Malugu and Mayama Kamara for those positions. For Farmland Protection Advisory Board, you have one Cape Fear VAD position, and you have appointed John Cohen for that position. For the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, you have one citizen appointment and one member of the public representing the interests of families and at-risk juveniles position. You have appointed Dorothy Harden for the member of the public representing the interests of families of at-risk juveniles, and Ramya Krishna for the citizen position. And that concludes all of the appointments.
Thank you so much, Attorney Williamson. Congratulations to everyone who has been appointed to one of our boards and commissions. Thank you all so much to everyone who's applied. If you didn't get selected this time, please know that is not because we don't want you on a board. It's just there's so many wonderful applicants that it's so hard to pick sometimes, and we hope that you'll apply to one of the other boards or apply for one of the other seats that opens up, and continue to look at the different openings that the county and the city have to be able to serve and support us as we lead Durham. With that, we will now move into our closed sessions. We have 3 closed session general statutes. The first being General Statute 143-318.11A5, which is to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other materials of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease, or the amount of compensation and material terms of an employment contract or proposed employment contract. The second is to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1. And finally, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Carter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are in closed session. And we'll start with the first one for the staff. Okay. Oh wait.
She went back, her bag and everything is
Oh. The board met in closed session. The minutes were sealed motion was by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Vice Chair Burns. The board is seeking authorization to acquire easements related to Slater Road and Page Park Lift Station, and to authorize the county manager to execute purchase agreements and all documents required to consummate the acquisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. The next is the board has met and will entertain a motion to approve the 3% COLA implemented on July 8th, 2024 for the following positions: clerk to the board, sheriff, register of deeds, and tax administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The board is met in closed session, and I'll now entertain a motion to accept the resignation of County Manager Dr. Kimberly Sowell effective immediately.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will now entertain a motion to appoint Acting County Manager Claudia Hager as interim county manager effective immediately to serve until a permanent county manager is appointed. All in favor?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Any opposed? No? Okay, we are adjourned.